Whoa, she's a beaut, isn't she? I'm so proud of this livery. I mean, it's not the greatest ever, but I'm proud of this as my first attempt at making a livery for this game. Welcome back to the third episode of the F1 2020 My Team series, just showing you around the livery there. We've kept the Loop sponsorship, we've got the Vacanziero sponsorship as well that we got in-game. Adrian Flux on the rear wing as sponsorship for Callum Ilott, as that is a sponsorship for him, and also added in Mercedes logos and Pirelli logos and stuff as well, because of course every car has the Pirelli logo on it. I just love this livery, man. It's so good. I'm so happy with it. Yeah, it's just amazing. And of course, big thing as well, the numbers are now white. It was so annoying having black numbers on a black car, and now the number is white. I kind of took inspiration from the Renault livery, where if you look at the car from the front, it looks like it's more of a red car, but then you look at it from the side and it is a black car. That was my sort of feeling, that was sort of my thought process for creating this livery. And also quickly, before we head into the Dutch Grand Prix, I decided to actually upgrade some facilities. We've got $3.05 million to spare, so we spend $2.5 on upgrading the fabrication on the aero side, which means we can now do two simultaneous upgrades at the same time, because before I was trying to do two at the same time, but because I had no upgrades on the facilities, I could not do such a thing. But now we head into qualifying for the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. Of course, this is the first time I've driven this track on this channel. It's not the first time I've driven this track on the F1 2020 game though. I've driven most of the tracks plenty of times by now. But yeah, this is not one of my favourite ones, it has to be said. It's not that I'm not very good at this track, I just don't like this track very much. But as we come around the final couple of corners here on this first flying lap, I feel like this lap has done pretty well. I absolutely love this bank turn. It feels absolutely amazing to drive over on this game. It feels great. We crossed the line. It's P4 for the moment. Only 7/10 off the time of Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari, and ahead of Raikkonen and Grosjean at the moment. So it's not a bad banker lap. But of course we can always do better, and on this next lap, as you can see, it's got very, very overcast very quickly, so the track is probably a bit cooler. The air temperature is certainly a bit cooler, and we're nearly 3/10 up on our first time, and we're in P10 still. Obviously loads of other people still haven't been out for a second time, but in P10, it's only just setting our flying lap now, our second time, with 30 seconds left of qualifying. We're in P10, we've gained a heap of time there through the final two corners, so we're nearly 4/10 up now. We're gaining on the straight as well, and that puts us up to P8, which, if everything goes to plan, that's us through to Q2. And we are through to Q2 in P8. That is very, very nice indeed. Callum Ilott finishing in P18, so unfortunately he didn't get through, but for the first time in this career mode, a Lozzer racing car is through to Q2. And our first foray into Q2 in this season sees us take that chicane pretty poorly. But I don't know how decent this lap is so far, because we've got no time to go up against. We're one of the first cars out on track as always. That's how I always do it. I always go out on track first, so I can do a lap where there's absolutely no traffic whatsoever. We come across the line, and we're not first out on track. Okay, people have already set their times. We're in P6 at the moment though. And Kvyat sets a time which is slower than ours, so we're not last at the moment. But now, because this lap was clean, I'm going to shut up and let you just watch this lap. This was the best lap of qualifying, so enjoy. So here we go then, we cross the line now. It is a very good lap, but it puts us in P13, which was where we were anyway, but it's absolutely fine. P13, our highest starting position of the season so far, and it puts us in good stead for us to have a decent race.
It was 35 years ago that the late great Niki Lauda took his 25th and final Grand Prix win here at Zandvoort. He came from 10th on the grid to beat his McLaren teammate Alain Prost by just 0.2 of a second. Well, Zandvoort is a very different circuit today, of course, but still one with an incredible legacy. And we're going to add to that. Welcome along to the 2020 Dutch Grand Prix. A lap of this short 2.6 mile Zandvoort circuit features 14 corners, 10 to the right and 4 to the left. The main straight is 678 metres long and heads into turn 1, the Tarzan corner. With DRS down the main straight into the braking zone, that could be the best overtaking opportunity on the track. With the Grand Prix nearly upon us, Anthony Davidson is by my side once again to offer his perspective. Why don't we start by talking about Valtteri Bottas? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Vettel, Max Verstappen, and Perez, Albon, Stroll, Ricciardo, and Lando Norris, Gasly, Sainz, Lawrence, and Grosjean, Ocon, Kvyat, Kimi Raikkonen, and Callum Islands, Russell, Magnussen, Giovinazzi, and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
I don't know, Crofty, which driver will come out on top today? But for once, right, we get recommended the one stop going from hards to softs. And for this race, I'm actually going to completely reverse what I've done in the last two races. In the last two races, most of the other drivers have done two stops, and I've done a one stop. This race, I'm going to completely flip that, and I'm going to do an aggressive two-stop. Mediums to softs, because why the hell not? You know, I've seen it work before in other people's career modes and all that stuff. I'm just kind of figuring out which tyres, or which laps even, I can't speak, which laps to pit on. But I'm going to go medium, soft, and hopefully that's going to help me get further up the order in this race. So let's find out, shall we? We are now at the start of the race as the 5 red lights are on and the drivers are waiting. It's lights out and away we go here in Zandvoort, and we get a better start than Carlos Sainz, who's on the hard tyres. We get ahead of him almost instantly. We are definitely ahead of him now as we go round the outside of Pierre Gasly and looking to go around the outside of Norris maybe as well. But we do get a bit off the track, so Norris gets back ahead. We kind of cut off Gasly though, so he can't get back ahead of us. But now round the outside of the bank to turn 3, we look to maybe go around the outside of Lance Stroll, but he's trying the same thing on Daniel Ricciardo as Ricciardo has a wiggle. But we're now side by side with Lando Norris as we head into the next section. This is a section where you really have to keep your cool because it's such a thin section of the track and it is flat out as well, and the AI are normally so much faster at that bit, but we managed to get ahead of Lando Norris as well and up into P10, so we've already made up 3 positions in the first half of the lap as we now look to shape up and move maybe on Daniel Ricciardo into the next section. But yeah, what a start to the race that was for us. What a brilliant start. The medium tyres definitely helping me there. Against Carlos Sainz especially, as he was starting on the hard tyres. And we already move on to lap 6 and we're still trying to get ahead of Ricciardo. It's almost like the opposite to the last race, isn't it? We were trying to keep Ricciardo behind and now we're trying to get ahead of him as Ricciardo is quite slow, and there's a yellow flag up ahead and it's Max Verstappen who's out of his home race. He's got an engine failure or a mechanical failure of some sort, and Max Verstappen pulls over and retires from his home race in the Netherlands. As we move on to cross the line for the very next lap now, we're at turn 1. Ricciardo is very slow. We've been trying to get past him. Look at that wiggle. He's struggling so much on his soft tyres, and that has given us our best chance yet to try and overtake him. We try and go round the outside, but we've gone too deep on the brakes, and Ricciardo remains ahead of us for the time being. And we move on another almost 4 laps now. Stroll is now 6.5 seconds ahead of us. He's pulled away massively. Ricciardo is holding us up an awful lot here, but he's slow again out of the bank turn. We've got a great chance to try and overtake him here. Do we do a Ricciardo S dive on Ricciardo again? I think we do, you know. Into turn 1, we dive down the inside. He tries to switch back us, but in the end we keep ahead. We've parked the car in the exact right places, and we're up to P8 ahead of the Renault. How the tables turn, eh? In the last race, Ricciardo was much faster than us. In this race, it's completely the opposite. And moving on now to lap 15, we completely dropped Ricciardo. We're now setting personal bests in every sector. Of course, people have pit though, that's why Ricciardo's suddenly gone off the screen. We're up to P5, but Vettel's just coming out of the pits now. And are we going to get ahead of Vettel? He's on the hard tyres, he's on cold hard tyres. We get alongside him just as he comes out the pits. We go down his inside, or is that round the outside? It was round the outside on that turn. And we're ahead of him at the bank corner. But of course, as I said, on this bit of track specifically, the AI are so much faster, I don't know what to do, because they're just ridiculously fast on this bit, and Vettel is literally pushing me through this section, but he has to back out slightly, you know, as he gets the dirty air from behind my car. We're now up to P4, we're still on the mediums that we started the race on. It's not long until we make our first pit stop. Of course, the likes of Hamilton, Leclerc, Vettel, they've made their one and only pit stop, but we get poor traction out of that corner there, and Vettel now has DRS to try and get past us. Can he do it? He's got ahead of us slightly, but into the chicane, we outbrake him, and we remain ahead of Sebastian Vettel on track. Oh man, that just felt so amazing to do, fighting a Ferrari like that. We squeezed him out, and we're still setting personal bests as we're doing it. We're on older medium tyres now, and we're now coming into the pits for our one and only pit stop. So for one lap only, we were able to fend off a Ferrari. It might have cost us a bit of time, but we're now switching our attention to the pit stop and the soft tyres. As we come into the box then, the lads do an absolutely fantastic job. A 1.8 second pit stop. Red Bull who? 1.8 seconds? That's absolutely amazing. And the thing is as well, after most have done their one and only stop, we've come out in P9. And Callum Ilott is in P10 as well, ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So I don't know if Ricciardo maybe had any damage, but he's lost out massively. And at the moment, 2 Lozzer racing cars are currently running in the points. Although I do believe that Callum Ilott started on hards, so he will be pitting at some point in the near future. Now I just want you to pay attention to the numbers here, right? Lap 17, the gap to Stroll is 5.6 seconds and the gap to Sainz is 6.1 seconds. Lap 22, 5 laps later, we're now within Stroll's DRS. We're within a second of Stroll and Sainz. They're on hard tyres. Sainz is on old hard tyres specifically. He started on those hard tyres, don't forget. As of course we jumped him at the start because he was on those hard tyres. So he is still yet to pit. But Stroll has already pit. These soft tyres have done a madness. We've managed to get these soft tyres this far, which, wow, I just can't believe how quickly we've caught up to these guys. I mean, Stroll's in the 3rd best car. Like, come on. Like, that racing point is so much quicker than our car. It's also quite a bit quicker than the McLaren as well, so Sainz is holding him up more than anything. But as you just saw, that racing point isn't looking that much quicker than our car right now, as we've now got the DRS on Stroll. Stroll also has DRS as well. And are we going to do another dive down the inside at turn 1? You best believe we are, but Stroll is a bit more wiser to it. He tries to switch back us and actually gets the move done and remains ahead of us for the time being. We did make a little bit of contact there, as we have done. And look how slow he is out of there. We could be going side by side into this section again with another car. Look at how much quicker we are than Stroll through this section. It's unbelievable. I think about having a move down the inside there, but again, it's not quite the place to overtake. But it's fine, it doesn't matter. We can have another go on the next lap, and we've got DRS on Stroll again. Stroll also has DRS on Sainz, who has slowed down a bit from this lap, but we're going to go for it again. And do we make the move stick? This time we nearly go into the back of Sainz by making it. We do have a little bit of contact with Stroll, who we are ahead of this time. He's right there though, but this time he has to give way as we have the corner, and now we are into P8 ahead of Lance Stroll, and now we set our sights on Carlos Sainz. And we're going to have a go on the very next lap maybe, but no, this is the lap where Carlos Sainz comes into pit for his soft tyres, so we gain a position through that, and we're now up into P7, and I think P7 is the best we can really hope for. as Albon is nearly 7 seconds up the road. And really, are we really going to catch Albon? Are we really going to do that? Especially when we're going to have to pit again as well. So I think P7 is the best we can hope for in this race. And now 2 laps later, it is our turn to make that pit stop, that second pit stop onto the second set of soft tyres. We've dropped Stroll. He's now 3 seconds behind us, so he will get back ahead of us again. Sainz, I'm not too sure because I don't know how much time you lose out in Zandvoort. And again, the crew with a fantastic stop of just 2 seconds. Stroll's got way ahead of us now. We're not going to catch Stroll probably, but Sainz is just coming round turn 1 now. We're going to come out of the pit lane, and Sainz is just going to get ahead of us on those fresh set of soft tyres. So this overtake now, if we make it, is going to be a bit harder than the one we just made on Lance Stroll. And that one took us a few laps. But we're going to keep the pressure on Sainz here. Of course, he'll have warmed up his tyres, and, you know, they'll be in a better operating window than mine. Mine will be cooler, but we get a good run on him here through this section. We don't have a go yet, but we might think about having a go now. Have a go down the inside, maybe. Yes, we do. We bang tyres as we get past him, but we've made the move stick, and we're up into P8 once again, past Carlos Sainz. And now maybe we set our sights on Lance Stroll, but 10 seconds up the road, I feel like that might be a tall order, especially when we've got a McLaren behind us. And let's face it, we are going to be defending from him now, aren't we? More so than trying to get towards Stroll. But we end up moving on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, so this stint on the soft tyres, nothing's really happened too much. Sainz has stayed behind us. We have caught up to Stroll. He's now 3.7 seconds ahead of us, but yeah, it was just never going to happen, was it? As we round the final 2 corners here, the final corner being the bank turn, of course. It's been a great race for us. That 2-stop strategy really has worked. It really has, and we're going to come home for P8. What a result that is for us. More points in the bag, another 4 points for us. And the 2-stop strategy from medium to soft has really worked for us. Wow, and it's produced some amazing racing from us as well.
Many doubted whether they could pull off the win here in Zandvoort, but they have done, and done it in spectacular style. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
So a bit more of a normal podium this time round then. Valtteri Bottas winning the race ahead of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc as they spray champagne on each other. And what is that going to do for the Drivers' Championship? Let's go and find out, shall we? As we quickly look at the race results, Sergio Perez finishing 5th ahead of the Red Bull of Alex Albon. Very well done to him. Both McLarens getting in the points behind us. We finished in 8th, which was absolutely brilliant for us. Daniel Ricciardo never recovered. He was just so slow, keeping us behind throughout that whole first stint. And in the end, after getting past him, he just never recovered. He just carried on being slow, I guess. Callum Ilott then finished where he started in P18. It looked promising with him being in P10, but of course at that point he hadn't made his one and only stop, so he ended up finishing where he started. Again, we haven't got the personnel or the facilities yet to make him much better than he already is. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, we've gained points but lost places because of Sergio Perez's 5th place. We've dropped a place to 11th, but we do have 10 points now. And Stroll, who finished ahead of us, has got 9, and we're actually ahead of him in the Drivers' Championship. Lewis Hamilton leads the championship. Callum Ilott stays in 18th place in the Drivers' standings. And looking at the Constructors real quick, we have dropped a place to 8th. I think that's due to McLaren and Racing Point picking up quite a lot of points there. So we're now in 8th, but that's fine. That's fine. We're ahead of the 3 teams yet to score a point of Haas, Alfa Romeo and Williams. And we thought we'd be in battles with them this season. We haven't been so far, have we? And as we now go back to base, we can now select a 3rd sponsor to go on the car. Of course, you won't physically see them on the car because of the livery, because I can't put it on the livery myself, but we end up going with RGB, who give us the goal of scoring 1 constructor's point in a race weekend, which is very, very possible. I didn't want to risk going for the ones that gave you, like, you know, the goal of scoring 3 points or 5 points, because they're a little bit harder. But yeah, that is that then. We also give ourselves a little bit of a power mapping upgrade as well, $230,000, so not a huge dent in the budget, just to give us the engine wear reduced by 10%, because during that race we did actually have a bit of wear in the power unit. But that is going to be it for this episode, guys. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe if you like what you see and you want to see more. And if you don't want to miss a video, hit that little bell next to the subscribe button and you will get a notification whenever I upload. But until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching. Peace.